In this video, I'm going to code the game Tic Tac Toe in Java. So let's get started. Create a new Java project. Okay, hit finish. Don't want any modules. And we're gonna create a new class. It's the main method. So the first thing we're gonna do is create the game board, which is gonna be a 2D character array. And it's gonna have 5 rows and 5 columns. Okay. Like this. We're going to have a space, a line separating the different cells of the table, another space, a line, and another space, and I'm going to copy this down 5 times. For this row, we're going to have only lines. And for this line, it's the same. So to print the game board, we're going to create a method called print game board. Test to know what the game board is, so it's going to do this. And then we'll have for every row in the game board, and then for every character in a row, well, we want to print that character. And then after every row, we want to have a new line. Like that. And here we're going to print the game board. Okay, like this. And if we run it, we have the game board here. Yes. Okay. Now we need to make the player able to place a move on the game board. Well, we will do that by scanning a number from 1 to 9, because there are 9 cells in the table, and then based on that number, we're gonna change one of these spaces into an X or an O. So let's start by setting the scanner. Okay, we're gonna import Java util scanner. Okay, we're gonna tell the user enter your move 1 to 9. So, and then we're gonna scan the player position, call it this way. Like this. Okay, so now when we run the program, we can choose a number from 1 to 9, like 5. It takes our position. Now we have to do something with it, so we're gonna create a method called placePiece that places a move based on this number here. Okay, we're gonna have to enter the game board, a position, and the user, which can be the player or the CPU, because the CPU also has to place moves. So we're gonna have a character called symbol which we're gonna set to space by default, but we're gonna change it later. Okay, like this. And well, we have the user here, so if the user equals player, then we want the symbol to be X, like this, okay? And then if the user is the CPU, we want the symbol to be O. Equals. Okay, like this. So now we have the character, which is a symbol, and the user. So we have to deal with the position, which is the number we scanned here. So we're gonna use the switch case, switch position. And for case 1, well, we need this cell here to change to a symbol. So that would be game board 00 is equals symbol, and then break. And then we will do this for every other case. Three, 4, up to 9. And default. So cell 2 is this one here. This is 00, this is 01, so this is 02. And this one here is 04. Then that's 2, 20, 22, 24, and so on, 40, 42, and 44. Okay, and now we can place the move. So after we scan the player position, we're gonna place the piece, game board. We're gonna use the position we scanned, so player position. And the string in this case is the player. Okay. Now we can place a move like 5, for example. And well, we need to print the game board again here after we place the move, so we actually know where we placed it. It's like this. And it placed X on position 5. Now the computer has to go after the player goes. Well, we're gonna use the random. We're gonna use a random number instead of an artificial intelligence or something. So like this. And we're gonna import Java util random. Okay, nice. And we're gonna say CPU position. Well, we need it to be from 1 to 9, like this. Yes, from 1 to 9. And then we're gonna place P's based on that position. We're gonna use the CPU position and the CPU. So, well, let's just print the game board in the very end instead of twice. So, if we choose 5, the CPU chooses 8, like this, but it only goes once. So if we want to have more runs, we can throw this inside the while true statement, like this. And now the player and the CPU can go infinitely. So 1, let's say 9. And you can keep going like this, but it doesn't know if someone wins or it's a draw or anything. So we're gonna have that in a separate method. Here. We're gonna call it It's going to return the answer as a string, and we're going to call it check winner. Okay. And the default is going to be, well, nothing. So without the equal sign. So, well, to check the winner, we have to have some information about the positions of the players. For that, we're gonna use array lists. Array lists. Okay, so we're gonna create an integer array list for the player positions. Okay, and we're gonna import array lists. Then we're gonna create another array list for the CPU positions. Okay, and here, after we place a move, okay, we're gonna say if the user equals player, we have the position, so we want that position to be added to that array list. Like this, okay. Okay, and then the same thing for the CPU, we're gonna add it to the CPU positions. Okay, like this, and every time someone places a move, it's added to one of those two array lists. So now we have to determine if someone wins. Well, we're gonna use list, we're gonna list every possible combination of like rows and columns which are considered to be winning. So let's say, for example, we want to list 1, 2, and 3, which is the top row. If someone has these three positions taken, then they win. So we have to import lists like this, okay? And we will do the same for every other list. Well, we have 3 rows, 3 columns, and the 2 diagonals, which can also be winning. Mid row, let's say, bot row, left column, mid column, right column, diagonal 1, diagonal 2, okay, like this. Well, the mid row is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would be 4 and 7, 2, 5, and 8, 3, 6, and 9, 1, 5, and 9, and 3, 5, 7. Okay, now these are all the lists of possible winning combinations. Well, we're gonna create a new list of lists, which we're gonna call winning. Okay, and like this. New, should I say? Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna add our lists to this. Add top row. Yeah, we're gonna add each and every one of this. So add mid row, bot row, mid column, right column, diagonal 2. Okay, nice. Now we need to use the array list we created in the very beginning. We're gonna say for every list L, which is in winning, if the player positions contain sol L, which means that the player has put all three of these, all three of these. That means he has won, so we want to return this. Congratulations, you won. Okay. And similarly, if the CPU has won, then it means the CPU positions contains all the elements of one of the lists. We're gonna return CPU wins. Okay, but we also have the case where it is a draw. So okay, so how do we know if it is a draw? Well, up until here the player hasn't won and the CPU hasn't won. So if the board is full and none of them have won, then it means it is a draw. So we're gonna use the size function. Okay, so if the sum of the sizes is 9, that means the board is full. We want to return it is a draw, like this. So okay, let's check the brackets. Okay, I think it's fine. So okay, so we're gonna use this method after we place the piece, so for the CPU or the player right here. So we're gonna say string, because it returns it as a string, call it result and check winner, like this. Okay, and then well, we have a problem here because we set the default to blank and we don't want to print that always, so we only want to print it if it is one of these three. So well, we're gonna do it like this. Okay, if the result length is larger than 0, length, oh, like, okay, length, yes. Okay, if the result length is larger than 0, we will print the result and then break the whole cycle. Okay, and we're gonna do the same for, well, without the declaration of the result. So after we place the piece right here, we're gonna check the winner, and if there's a winner, it's gonna do it. So let's test it out. 5, let's say 2. Okay, so in this case, where the CPU chose position 9 twice, actually, we're gonna have to deal with that, but let's try to win first. Okay, and it says congratulations, you won, because I put position 8. And if we want, we can print the game just before we break here, just to make it better. Okay, now we have to deal with the problem of the CPU choosing the same position twice, or the CPU choosing the same position twice. So, well, after we take the player position as an integer, before placing the piece, we're gonna check if it is actually a legal move, like it's not placing the same position twice. So we're gonna say while the player positions contains that position that we got from the player, or the CPU position contains that position. Well, that means that the number we got is already occupied by another piece, so we're gonna have to get another proper number. So we're gonna change that to next scan next int. Okay, like this. And maybe even tell the player that it's an illegal move. Try again. Okay, like this. Illegal move, try again. Okay, and the semicolon at the end. So yeah, this ensures that the player always puts a legal move. We're gonna do the same for the CPU. So right here, yep. Well, the CPU doesn't need the message. We're gonna have the CPU position here and here. And we need another random number from 1 to 9 here. Yep. And then game is complete. Let's say we choose position 5, the CPU chooses 1, we choose 2, okay, the CPU chooses 4, yep. And then let's say, well, I did not see this. Let's say I choose 1, it tells me it's an illegal move. Even if I choose 2, it still tells me it's an illegal move. Okay, then let's say I choose 8 for real. And then I win, okay. And the CPU is not making any illegal moves either. So let's try to have the CPU to win for once. 2 or 7. Okay, and maybe 8. Yeah, and the CPU wins. So that's the whole game. Thanks for watching.